Welcome back to the Tangent Podcast on this lovely Tuesday evening. It's great to be with you. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Jeez, that was over-enthusiastic.
I'm feeling fantastic.
Yeah, I just got back from the gym and binged on some Little Caesars, so I felt better.
Perfect post-workout meal.
Yep.
You got your
If I
carbs.
buy one, get one free. I can't not. I'd be losing money if I didn't.
You had a buy one, get one free?
Yeah, T-Mobile Tuesday, they had a buy one, get one free. Little
What?
Caesars. Yeah.
Do you think... Okay, so Austin and I have Metro by T-Mobile. Do you think that they get any,
Probably not.
special perks?
Probably
Probably not. Special perk is the crazy discount you get.
Oh my gosh, it sounds like an ad.
It is cheap.
We got 4 lines for $25 per line. Unlimited data.
It's great.
Amazing.
Well, enough about our cell phone plans.
I'm so thirsty, so let's drink a drink.
All right. Well, we got 2 different drinks today because Jack's a noob
I'm a
and
noob.
couldn't find the drink. We are drinking Monster Energy Ultra Peachy Keen. New flavor.
No, wait. Austin, you said that yours was the smaller one, right?
Yeah, I couldn't find one in a bigger can, so mine's
I
the
got the
little-
normal size one.
mine's
Oh,
little Red
weird.
Bull can.
Why do they even make them in different sizes?
I've seen these. Have you never seen the small monsters? They have the original. They have the original, the white, like the low carb, and apparently this.
Peachy Keen is a saying. Never heard it before. I just googled Peachy Keen and it came up with very satisfactory. Fine.
I do like that this one has Hendrix on the can, so it's already promising. And the description says, "The summer of love was about hope, peace, and connecting to something bigger than yourself. A time of carefree fun, limitless possibilities, and believing anyone but the man. So don't take our word for it. Check it out for yourself, because it's all good when you're sipping Ultra Peachy Keen. 0 sugar, juicy flavor, and the Monster Energy blend from our secret stash. Everyone from boomers to zoomers is down with that."
Oh my word.
This is tangent to a T.
Jack, what are you drinking?
I couldn't find that one, so I got a monster that was also orange. Mine is a chaotic juice.
I love that one.
That one is very good.
It's got butterflies on it. I don't know what flavor it is actually.
Butterfly flavor.
Let's see. I don't see a they're not telling me in the description what flavor it is. Why? What's so hard about putting a flavor just right here that just says banana or peach?
Banana flavor?
I don't know. Something.
The Monster Chaotic flavor is... it originally debuted in 2005 and is being introduced with a lightened flavor. Chaotic contains an orange citrus flavor profile.
Ooh. So it's close.
Well, should we break these bad boys open?
I already did.
It's a good sound.
Oh, weird.
Ooh.
How is she?
Tastes like a Peachio.
Oh, nice.
That's good. I really like that.
Very
Not
sad.
bad.
I like that a lot.
Not bad at all.
Pretty good. Ooh, Ryan, out of 10, what do you give that?
7.5.
That was about what I was thinking too. 7.5 out of 10. It's good.
I was hoping it would be at least an 8. That's
Gotta go get it and try it now.
it's not even an 8. Why would I?
Because it's good.
Well, what is yours, Jack?
About a 7. Maybe a 6.5. The juice ones, I like that they're juicy, but it kind of throws it off a little bit. It weirds me out. Because these things are 10% juice, which is about 10% more juice than every other soda there is.
True.
Ryan, what's our space news today?
we got space news. Our space news is brought to us by the Chinese government. Shooting up rockets into space and not really caring about what happens to all of the space junk that ends up getting left up there. Apparently they didn't have enough fuel to either capture the second stage of their rocket back into Earth's orbit or back to Earth. And so this particular space junk or piece of a rocket is going to be hitting the moon on March 4th at 12:25 UTC, whatever UTC means.
Universal time.
Is that really what that means?
Mm-hmm. It's the zero. It's dead center in the world. And then everything to the left is back a couple hours, and everything to the right is forward a few hours.
Well, there you go. That makes sense then.
You learn something new every day.
UTC, I think it's Universal Time is what it stands for. Coordinated Universal Time.
Why isn't it CUT then?
Don't ask me.
But there's been some back and forth on where this rocket part came from. And so like I was telling Jack, the first time I read this article, I read that it was from the Chinese. The second time I read that it was NASA's. And then the third time that I read that it was SpaceX. And now, from what I'm looking at here, it looks like we've got Forbes. These are all within 18 hours. So Forbes is saying that it was China. NPR says that it was likely Chinese, and physics.org or just phys.org says that it was built by China, not SpaceX. So I kind of like to go off of the 2 to 3 witnesses scenario, that you need 2 or 3 witnesses to establish truth or evidence in a court case. Here you go. There's your evidence.
Freaking China. Freaking guy.
Typical China.
All right. What else do we have going on for our listeners, Jack?
Well, we got ourselves an encounter next. Let's find our encounter. Wait, how many monitors? Notepad. There you are. Found it. Alrighty. I guess you guys aren't going to be able to see it because Austin is recording it. So. But you guys can just listen. You can't read along. Screw you. Alright, so this one
could listen to your voice all day long, Jack.
Oh, that's what I like to hear. This one is titled, It Came For Us in the Graveyard. Spooky. And it goes as follows. We were driving my friend's really old beat-up Subaru through a massive graveyard. We stopped and walked down a hill and came across a little pond. There was someone sitting on a rock on the other side of the pond. The figure was all black and we couldn't make out any features other than the fact that it looked like a man who was wearing some old-style top hat. We stupidly waved and shouted, "Hi!" He didn't show any acknowledgement and continued sitting still on the rock. All of a sudden, he jumped to his feet, started running to us on the water, and then vanished in thin water halfway across the pond. My friend and I screamed and ran back to the car. The car wouldn't start. We heard something banging on the back of the car. It wasn't a constant bang, but every few seconds or so we'd hear it. Nobody was outside from what we could see in the dark, but something was making a noise on the car. I opened my phone and started dialing my mom to come give us a boost, but I had no service. None of us had any cell service. The next 30 minutes were spent trying to get the car started. No banging was heard afterwards, but we felt this heavy pressure around us. Finally, the car started and she hit the pedal to the metal. We sped out of the graveyard so fast, immediately crossing the gates. All of our phones regained cell service. one thing I know for certain is that someone or something was out there, and it was not an animal or a human.
Okay, so this is an entity or something that was walking on water, right?
Sprinting on water, according to them.
Okay, sprinting might be a little freaky, but if it was just something walking on the water, I honestly might, like, start to get all spiritually thinking and like, oh, is this the second coming? Is it happening? It's right here in front of me!
Yeah, I don't think the big J man would be wearing a top hat, though.
Oh, I didn't catch that part. I didn't catch.
You never know. I mean, he hasn't been around for a while. Maybe he's trying to look the part, but he doesn't realize that we're past the age of top hats. And so he's just, like, doing the best he can to dress up for the times.
All of a sudden, he jumped to his feet and started running on the water, and then vanished. It says vanished in thin water halfway on the pond. I don't know if he meant to say half vanished into air, or maybe he, like, vaporized into, like, a mist. I don't know what he was trying to say.
I like that. I like vaporizing into a mist. So this thing was on the water to begin with, and then stood up on the water and then ran to them?
It was sitting on a rock on the opposite side of the pond of them. Jumped up, and then started running straight across towards them.
Was it maybe just a very shallow pond?
Maybe.
It's just
maybe.
some guy running out of a pool. Yeah.
So where'd he go then?
There's a sinkhole right in the middle.
That's
no,
creepy.
but for real, that's scary as heck.
Did it say what lake this was at?
No, it doesn't have any revealing details at all.
Do you remember that weird lake in, was it Georgia? That's supposedly like a lake on top of an old city where a bunch of dead people are buried.
Oh right,
And it was
the
like
old
super haunted.
Yeah, that was my story.
Yeah.
Was that Georgia?
That was Georgia.
Yeah, it was in Georgia because our coworker Austin, Craig,
right.
lived right next to that lake.
That's right.
Yeah,
and what was really funny,
they were gonna move all the bodies to a new graveyard, but they didn't.
What was really funny is, like, after he heard the episode, he's like, "Dudes, oh my gosh, you should come and talk to me about it." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Oh, like, was there anything freaky about it? No. Well, I mean, like, did you hear any stories? No.
Oh, Craig. Good old Craig.
All right, well, let's get into today's topic, which is the next iteration of American urban legends, the old great potato state of Idaho.
Potatoes.
Did you know, little potato fact, did you that Bill Gates owns the potato farms that feed into all the McDonald's in the U.S.?
Of course he does.
I'm not really surprised, though.
That's ridiculous, but I mean, like, it makes sense. You want to diversify your portfolio.
Is potatoes a good portfolio option?
That's gotta
Everybody
be, like,
needs potatoes.
Exactly. McDonald's
Every
probably
fast food, every restaurant, every supermarket.
It's genius.
I've never heard an advisor say, you know what, sell your stock, we're putting it in potatoes.
But I mean, think about it. If you go with potatoes, they're super hardy. They grow in cold conditions. If there's a nuclear winter, you're probably growing potatoes.
That's
Plus,
true.
everybody likes potatoes.
They are very versatile. I will give them that.
Baked, mashed, scalloped.
You could have an entire meal with just different forms of potato.
100%.
Cook them, fry them, mash them in stew.
Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew.
Potatoes.
Yeah, get it right if you're gonna say it.
Ways make a potato. Not in Minecraft. Let's see. Baked, mashed, roasted, salad, au gratin, scalloped, and grilled. Or is what potatogoodness.com brings up.
I think there's many more than that. Potatogoodness.com. That sounds like making a website.
Dude, it's not a gratin in Utah. It's funeral potatoes in Utah.
Yeah, I never really liked scalloped, honestly.
I don't even know what that means,
It's
if I'm
like-
being completely honest.
It's like sliced potatoes with this weird cheese sauce.
That
they're
sounds
not great.
amazing.
Funeral potatoes, though.
Oh,
That's my
funeral
jam.
potatoes? Potatoes?
Potatoes. Funeral tatles. Yeah, you throw some sour cream in the mix with some cheese and some
Some bacon bits?
bacon bits.
There was one time when I was like 14 years old, what my siblings called the peak of puberty, and I could freaking eat anything and had a hollow stomach. My aunt had made like an entire like 9x13 sheet pan of funeral potatoes extra at one of our family reunions, and I ate half of a freaking pan, like 2 inches thick, of funeral potatoes.
Nice.
Seems like that was a good decision.
Oh, yeah.
And
There's
look at
no
me
way
now.
that was ever regretted.
Now I'm 7 feet tall.
7 feet, huh?
If only potatoes were actually healthy.
Yeah. I have seen weightlifters that go on an all potato diet for like a
Yeah,
week at a
for-
time or something.
Called a bulking phase.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yep.
What the heck do potatoes have that like bulk you up?
Starch.
Yeah, starch.
Huh.
Yep. Oh, potatoes.
All right, fellas.
Who's up first?
Yeah, who's going first?
I can go first.
You go first.
We got some great cryptids. It's been a while since we've done a cryptid, I feel like. Some great cryptids from the state of Idaho. The first one, I hope I say this right. They are the dwarves living in the Owyhee Mountains.
They prefer little people, excuse me.
Is that right?
Owyhee.
Or it's Owhyee.
Are there photos of them?
Owyhee? Of the dwarves?
Yeah.
There are no photos of the dwarves
Darn.
themselves, just stories.
Okay.
But these
Let's hear these stories.
So Idaho back in the day was like a big silver mining state around this area. There was a bunch of silver mining. And
I
so
believe they call it the gem state.
Is it really?
is silver.
Yes.
It's
The
not the
gem
potato state.
I know, it should be the potato state.
I'm
but
writing a letter to Mr. Daddy Biden right now.
I did
Daddy Biden.
fourth grade report on Idaho gem state.
I did a 4th grade report on Georgia.
Oh, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
My report was, so I liked going to the city Heber when I was a kid because they had a really good restaurant there. And we had to do assignments on counties, and I heard of the county Weber and thought that it was Heber. And so I wanted to do my assignment on Weber, and then I realized that Weber was dumb. And
All
I
right,
was sad.
guys. I found an image of the Owyhee people.
There's like,
This is like Native Americans you're talking about.
Well, I mean, it's a
Dwarves.
legend from them.
so the one picture that I have found is a picture of like a skull looking thing. And it's that right there. So
Are you showing
hopefully
people.
I'm showing the viewers.
Good, good.
And I will show you guys.
So tell us about these dwarvens.
So, in the mountains, there were lots of silver mines, so people settled there a long time ago. There's a city named Silver City, and it's supposedly, like, super haunted. It was... Sorry, I have hiccups now.
Nice.
It was supposedly super haunted back in the day. Total ghost town now, and there was, like, an old haunted hotel there and all this kind of stuff. But for years, like over 100 years, I mean, this town was, like, early to mid 1800s that it was established. So for well over 100 years, there have been stories of at night they would hear screams and stuff. So like the hotel guests or whoever was in the city would hear like screaming at night or like these weird sounds. Or they would hear sounds that, like, something that was mimicking the sound of, like, a crying baby or a child or something like that. And so then it would lure people out to, like, find the baby or whatever. And then these little dwarves that were 2 feet tall would then take these people and eat them. And they would also lure children into the mountains and eat the children as well.
Of course.
And so the legend goes that they were super tiny, like 2 feet tall. They had really long tails that they would wrap around their bodies to hide their tails, and that they were strong enough to carry elk on their backs. Like a few of them could carry like a giant elk. And so they would just take people into the woods and eat them. And they didn't live, like the legend goes that they didn't live off of the wildlife. Like they didn't eat the elk and the deer and stuff. That their food was people. Like that's how they ate, was they would lure people into the woods.
That is freaky.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
So basically they were Pennywise the Clown before Pennywise the Clown.
What is like the freakiest part to me is that like we like to feel like we're at the top of the food chain, and it freaks me out to think that like there's still humans that then want to put themselves higher on the food chain and then eat the rest of us.
But yeah, so there have never been any like photos or physical evidence of the dwarves, but people, like, there's a lot of like, you know, stories that have gone around, and also people that claim to see like tiny footprints in the snow or the mud around the area, and to hear those noises at night of them like luring a child or screaming or just like horrible sounds. So yeah, pretty creepy. Little 2-foot dwarves are running around Idaho. So if you are in the Owyhee Mountains or whatever they're called, don't go into the woods for a crying baby.
Okay, so I found a couple things. So, same story, and it's the Owyhee Mountains of southern Idaho. And this is maybe why you didn't find any images. It says, are rumored to live the Nirumbis. And so it has that name, and if you look up Nirumbis, then it brings up all kinds of stuff. And it's exactly as you said, a terrifying race of tiny people who inhabit the mountain and eat human flesh.
Ew.
Oh yeah,
I hate the word
Mountain
flesh.
Little people.
Terrible word.
Flesh.
Yes, and then if you look up the Prior Mountain Little People, they're also connected to the Rumbis. Then you get these like really creepy, like mummified images.
So I also heard reports or stories that the Shoshone Indians and the Bannock Indians were like in the area up there, and they supposedly kind of stayed away from the Owyhee Mountains, like this specific area, because they knew that there was something there that was like nefarious. So if the Indians are staying away from there, Native Americans, if the Native Americans are staying away from there, it's probably not good.
Dude,
yeah,
Native Americans don't mess around with this kind of crap.
They do not.
Yeah, I would say if the Native Americans are freaked out by something, it's a pretty good sign to get away.
Yeah.
There's a mountain in Idaho called China Butte.
That's great.
Oh, before we go any further, one, here's a spot for an ad break. And two, shout out to Brad, who's been hardcore watching our videos. The like instant they come out, and then throwing in a comment at the bottom of it, and throwing his 2 cents in there. Yeah, dude, he even like reincarnation. He put in a story that he heard about. Read through his little story of this guy who believed that he lived through like every single war. Like he was like with Julius Caesar as a soldier, and then he was in like the Civil War, and then he was in World War II.
Damn.
And like it was pretty interesting. I mean, obviously it's just a YouTube comment. You couldn't put the whole thing in there, but
that was really cool.
Thank you for sending that to us.
Shout out to Brad.
Brad is awesome. Man. He is. So he goes to school down here where I'm teaching, and I see him every once in a while. He's doing the drone program here, so he's like learning how to fly drones. And
he's like a certified drone pilot.
Yeah, he posts some sweet pictures that he takes with his drone around like southern Utah, he's doing he's got some cool drone photography that he does.
Okay.
Brad, if you've got a like, I don't know if you're doing a business or like you have like an Instagram account for just like your drone footage, but if you do, send it to us. I want to see it. I want to show all the people.
We'll advertise it for you on the podcast.
Heck yeah.
For sure. Yeah. And
Brad, you're still my favorite ATL I ever had.
And come on the podcast. He was your ATL?
Yeah, he was.
On Brenda's team?
Yeah, he was underneath Brenda.
Huh.
Okay. This is the last thing I'll say about the Nurumbi people.
Okay.
So I was looking up Pryor Mountains to see if the Pryor Mountains and the Owyhee Mountains are in any way close to each other, and it seems like the Pryor Mountains are in Montana, and then you have the Owyhee Mountains that are in like south kind of eastern or south kind of western part of Idaho. So it could be that the that tribe of Indians or group of Indians spreading across all of southern Idaho, maybe like that was a complete legend or story that they had all across that area, which kind of ties into maybe Jack's thing that he's going to talk about later.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it near Massacre Rocks State Park? That's where mine is.
Because it was very similar, where Austin was talking about them luring out people with the sound of babies and everything.
It's very similar to that.
We should get into this a little bit later.
Okay. Well, I do have one more item to cover.
Let's hear it.
This is a fun one. So I originally heard about this when I was in high school. One of my teachers was from, I think, Priest Lake, Idaho. And he would tell us the coolest like life stories all the time. But my favorite one was that he would go to, there are 3 lakes in northern Idaho, kind of like near the Panhandle. I just lost the map. I'm pulling it up right now. There's Lake Pend Oreille. So Lake Pend Oreille, Priest Lake, and I think it's Coeur d'Alene as well. And so there is a monster in Lake Pend Oreille whose name is Paddler, and he is supposedly like 20 feet long and kind of looks like
20?
Nessie. Yeah, only 20, so not huge. But I've also heard reports. So that's like a pretty common sighting, is to say, oh yeah, I saw this monster, he's like 20 feet long. But I've also heard that he's like catastrophically big, like 100, 200 feet long. So I've heard a couple different reports. And the legend, so most people only know of Paddler in Lake Pend Oreille, but there's a legend that there are underground tunnels between the 3 lakes, because they're all like fairly close together up in the they're all in the Panhandle. So Priest Lake is the most northern lake, and then southeast of that is Lake Pend Oreille, which is the biggest of the 3, and it's also the 5th deepest in the U.S. And then Coeur d'Alene, which is a pretty big lake as well, is just southwest of Lake Pend Oreille. And there's a legend that there are underground tunnels between the 3 lakes, and that the monster moves between the 3, because there have been monster sightings at all 3 of those lakes. And so supposedly Paddler, or whatever you want to call him, is moving around down there between the 3 lakes, and he's been there for like 100 years.
Sorry, I missed it. Did you say Bear Lake was one of them?
There is a Bear Lake monster, but this one is a different one.
I know. I grew up hearing about the Bear Lake monster. I just didn't know if it was this little guy.
Nope.
I like the name Paddler. I think that's a cute name.
There are quite a few like lake monster legends in Idaho, though. So, there's one in, what's the name of that other lake that I'm thinking of?
Alti.
Alti. Yeah.
I forgot about Alti.
What lake is he in? Let me find it real quick. So Alti is Altamahaha. Or no, that's the Georgia one. Alti is there's one in Idaho though that's like pretty famous, and so Paddler's like the most famous one. Charlie, that's what it is.
Charlie.
So yeah, near McCall, Idaho. So there's Charlie the lake monster as well, and he's like the other most famous one. But yeah, so Paddler is supposedly the biggest and moves between the 3 lakes. So there's underground tunnels there, which I think is pretty cool.
It is neat. Always love a good underground tunnel.
Yeah. So this same teacher told us his story one time. I think it was his dad. Sorry, this is a side note. Another like crazy cryptid animal story, but he told us I think it was his dad who was in Vietnam. And they're flying a chopper through the jungle, and he said they saw what looked like a pterodactyl and was bigger than their helicopter fly out of the top of the jungle and like go past their helicopter. And they like the breeze from the wind of its wings like moved their helicopter while it was flying. It was that big.
Where was this?
In Vietnam.
Back in Nam.
Yep. So they saw like a dinosaur-sized bird or something. But he said it looked exactly like what you would think a pterodactyl looked like.
And this was how long ago? What year?
In Vietnam. Like, I don't know what year, but during the war.
Perfect time for LSD.
I was about to say, I'm like, were they in trying to relax a little too much?
I don't know, but
Or shell shock.
I don't think they'd be flying a helicopter if they were on LSD, so.
Trees speak Vietnamese.
What?
You never heard that?
That the trees speak Vietnamese?
I don't know if I'm allowed to get into that here.
Get into it.
The Vietnamese would hide in trees and during the war and shoot down and never mind. You ever heard of that? Never mind.
Yeah, I've
What?
heard of them
Why
hiding,
can't you
in the,
get into
hiding in
that?
the trees, like that the
I don't
trees
know.
are speaking. Like I've heard that reference before.
That's just guerrilla warfare.
There's more to it than that. Google
That's
it.
why
in your
we
spare
lost. Oh, is
Time. Google it in
it?
your spare time.
Okay. All right.
Oh, is it like a video?
No, I don't think so.
Oh.
Anyway, who's next?
I think we should talk about your thing next, Jack, since it
Okay.
might be
Kinda
connected.
close. All right, so mine is, of course, it has to be at Massacre Rocks. What a name.
So have you found out if Massacre Rocks, does that name come from your story, or does
No.
it come from? Okay.
No, it does not. I don't know exactly where it comes from. Rocks State Park name. Let's see. Received its name from a grouping of boulders that create a narrow break through which the Oregon and California trails passed. I don't know what that has to do with a massacre, but
Maybe there's maybe a massacre or a war with Native Americans with Oregon Trail.
oh. According to the diaries of immigrants, settlers in 5 wagons clashed with Shoshones just east of these rocks on August 9th and 10th of 1862. 10 immigrants died, which involved 4 wagon trains. The skirmishes took place in the east of the park, blah, 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 at Devil's Gate, as commonly believed, but the undeserved name stuck.
So we got Devil's Gate and Massacre Rocks.
Anyway,
Sounds like a savory place.
So at Massacre Rocks State Park, this is right along where the Oregon Trail passed through.
Oh,
And the settlers, what a great game, right?
Yeah.
You guys ever play the original?
So
Yeah.
good. Did you know that there's
So
a
good.
card game?
I did not. I want to play it now, though.
It's fun.
Let's see. Let's see. The area is attached to a pretty creepy urban legend that not many people know about. It's not super well known. And that is that it is haunted. But
I wouldn't
haunted
have
by
guessed
what
with
you
Devil's
asked.
Gate and Massacre Rocks. Never would have guessed that.
Haunted by babies.
Babies!
Babies.
400 babies.
Not just any babies. Water babies.
Water babies.
Water babies. Yes, sir. This is the old water babies of Massacre Rocks. Massacre Rock. Let's see. What happens here is it's right outside of Pocatello. It's a beautiful state park known as Massacre Rocks. All those nice little trees and hills, and there's a river. Don't go near the river because it's haunted by water babies.
By babies.
Babies. This is Native American legend, of course. Like, the scariest ones are always Native American. This is talking about Snake River, though. Runs right through Massacre Rocks and is said to be the main spot of paranormal activity, according to the legend. It is said that the river is haunted by supernatural beings called water babies, which are the spirits of drowned babies. You'll love to hear it. Just kidding, you don't. Anyway, what happened was long ago in the 1800s. The Native Americans they were going through a very harsh famine in the area, and there was not enough food.
Should have been growing potatoes.
So, the chieftains, I don't know who the hierarchy, but they were like, all right, we don't have enough food to feed everyone. So they basically commanded all mothers, if they had newborns, take them down to Snake River and drown them. We don't have the food to feed them. They're going to die anyway, so let's just put them out of their misery, not let them suffer through a week or two of hunger and starvation and whatnot.
That's good leadership right there. Let's
let's
instead of save the women and children, let's take them down to the river first.
You know how hard it'd be to make a call like that, though? You don't have enough food for everybody. It's like, what do you do? It's like, you can't tell them... Well, I guess in this case you can tell them to kill their children, but... Man, that would be a tough call to make. Yeah. I'm sure it did not go down very well, but... They did it. But after so many, it is said that after all these babies were drowned, the vengeful spirits grew fins and gills in order to survive. And people have reported seeing these water spirits playing in the canals and rivers in the Massacre Rocks area. Is it even said that these spirits try to lure humans to their death in order to avenge their sad fates? So if you see children playing at Snake River, very, very young children, or even crying, or drowning, do not go save them. Because what they do is you get close to the water, and they all grab you and just kind of sink back in until you drown with them.
This sounds like a news article waiting to happen of children dying because they heard a podcast tell them not to save the children.
Uh-oh.
Here's the thing. Do whatever you want. We're not telling you not to save children, but we're not responsible if you also die.
And maybe if you do get grabbed by them and escape, then tell us your story.
Yeah, let's we want to hear that.
Here's the thing, though. I feel like I could take some baby spirits. Because if they're baby spirits, they're probably not that strong.
Probably like 50 of them, though.
But they grew gills, and they've been swimming in the water. They're not these little babies anymore. They bulked up. They're swole, man.
Let's be honest. I could take 50 real babies.
Okay, here's the real question, though. How many 5th graders do you think you could take?
How many 5th graders?
Yeah.
Do I have just my hands and feet?
Yes.
Ooh.
So do they.
That's tough. 5th graders are vicious kids, man. That's
Yeah,
right at the age where they're learning how to play the psychological warfare too. Like, they could call me fat, and I'd go right down. Like, I don't know. That's a tough question. How many 5th graders?
How old is a 5th grader?
11.
How do you know that?
Because
they're 10 and 11.
12 in 6th grade.
How do you know that?
Because I remember.
All I know is I was 18 in 12th grade. That's it.
Minus 6 from 18, and what do you get? 12.
6.
And then minus 6 from 12, what do you get? 6.
See? 6, I told you. Anyway, there's one other thing I want to throw in here that I wasn't planning on talking about, but I just saw, and I remembered it. Have you guys heard about the what's it called, the murder zone of Idaho?
Isn't this on the reservation?
It's in Yellowstone.
Oh, then no.
So, I think it's... Let's see. Let me make sure. I think it's zone... Oh, it's called the Zone of Death, sorry. So, it's a very small part of Idaho that Yellowstone overlaps with. So there's a constitutional law saying that if a crime happens on a state park, or a national park, which Yellowstone is, it's up to the state or whatever to have a jury to, convict the crime. Mm-hmm. But it's also a law that it has to be done in the state that the crime was committed. So there's this little part of Yellowstone that cuts into Idaho where they call it the Zone of Death because if you murder someone there, you could probably get away with it and walk free. Because they can't honor both laws. Because it's, Yellowstone's thing, but it's also in Idaho. I don't know the exact thing about it, like the laws of it, but it's a 50 square mile section of Yellowstone, and they call it the Zone of Death because you could get away with murder there if you actually tried.
Let's see.
United States District Court for the District of Wyoming is currently the only United States District Court to have jurisdiction over parts of multiple states. This is because its jurisdiction includes all of Yellowstone National Park, which extends slightly beyond Wyoming's boundaries into Idaho and Montana. In addition, the federal government has exclusive jurisdiction over the park. So crimes committed in the park cannot be prosecuted under any of the state's laws. Trial in the district court are normally held at the federal courthouse in Cheyenne, Wyoming. However, the Sixth Amendment of the United States Constitution decrees that juries in federal criminal cases must be made up of citizens who are from both the district and state where the crime was committed. Because of this, charges of a crime alleged to have been committed in the area of Idaho known as the Zone of Death.
Oh yeah, that's the problem, is because nobody lives there. So it's impossible to get a jury that is both in the district and in the state.
Damn.
They would have to be tried before a jury consisting entirely of residents of that area, and the trial would also have to take place in that area. As the Idaho portion of the park is uninhabited, a jury of residents of both the state and district could not be impaneled. Though the Constitution does not guarantee the right to a jury trial in all prosecutions, a defendant facing any felony or misdemeanor charge being unable to receive a constitutional trial could not be legally punished regardless of guilt or innocence. That's crazy!
That's crazy. This is where, if I'm thinking right, is it... Yeah, Gabby Petito, that girl that went missing last
Oh
year,
yeah.
and they caught the boyfriend.
That's it?
That's where people think her body is.
Okay, gotta look that up.
They found her body.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Found in September in a national park. Was it Yellowstone?
In Grand Teton National Park.
Grand
Oh,
Teton. Okay. Okay, never mind then. But there was speculation during the case that that's where he did it and put her body.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I watched a video on it and I was just like, oh my gosh, how many people have gotten away with murder? And apparently nobody.
Yeah, I mean,
There's no documented crimes that have happened there. I was like, oh, I really thought more people would take advantage of this, but apparently not.
That's nuts.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Idaho, so I thought it fit well into here.
Hey,
Not really an
Jack.
urban legend, but...
Hey, Jack. We probably shouldn't have announced that on the podcast because now someone's going to go commit murder.
Well, we know who... We have a list of 14 people that listen that we can give to the police. It'll be pretty easy to find out which one it is.
Do we have the list? I think we just have where they listen and what apps they listen on.
Sir, he's in Utah and he listens on Spotify.
Yep.
Go find him. Anyway.
That's crazy.
Alright, finish us off strong. What you got for us, old buddy, old pal, old Ryan, old chum?
I am going to be putting some chum in the water on this one. We are talking about the Idaho State Penitentiary. So this is a penitentiary that is located in Boise, is currently open for tours. Might I say that we should take a field tour and go out there and do some in-field podcasting and reporting.
No. Tried it once, never again.
You gotta do it, man. You gotta come up, and it would be freaking way fun to go up to this.
That would be fun. That, or we'd take Brad up on his offer to go to Skinwalker Ranch. One of the two.
Absolutely not.
Or
That's private property. I don't want to get arrested and haunted at the same time. And probed.
Who's probing?
It's like the
Whatever's
alien
there.
capital of the planet.
And it's also the place, the get me my magnum.
Son, get me my magnum. I forgot about that.
Sorry, go on.
The Idaho State Penitentiary was constructed in 1870 and is a big, massive, kind of old castle-looking kind of old-fashioned style prison, state penitentiary. So this was 1870, so this is back during like the Wild West. And so there's a lot of crazy, kind of lawless people that ended up being put into this penitentiary. So through the years, right after it was constructed, everything was basically like normal, and there wasn't any issue. But as the years went on, there were more and more riots that started happening, and it was all just due to the prisoners rising up trying to say that their rights are being violated, that the living conditions were awful. There's rats and lice that are rampant throughout the prison, and so there were many different riots. And so the prison, while being peaceful for those first early years, it was roughly by 1935 that the behavior of all the inmates started to change, and those riots started becoming more and more regular. So it's believed that around that time that the hauntings then started happening. So these are kind of the different experiences that people have. Well, first of all, before we get into that, let me tell you what kind of people were in the penitentiary, and we'll focus on one person. So this is a story of Idaho's Jack the Ripper. And while he was only convicted for one murder, he bragged to the other people in the prison that he had murdered 2 other people. So, nowadays, Idaho kind of boasts for having a reputation of low crime, but it wasn't always the case. One of the most infamous crimes that took place in the Gem State, there it is, the Gem State.
Hater State.
Was a murder by a man dubbed Idaho's Jack the Ripper. His story starts with, let's see. So it was on September 23rd, 1956. Raymond Allen Snowden violently murdered a mother of 2, Cora Dean, by stabbing her a total of 30 times with a 2 1/4 inch pocket knife. It's believed that the murder took place during a scuffle after a long night of drinking. They may have been on a date, and Snowden claimed that he hit Cora, and she in turn kicked him, and Snowden snapped and stabbed her multiple times with the pocket knife.
Dang.
The murder took place in Garden City, which is kind of in the greater Boise area. The murder took place in Garden City, and Cora's body was discovered by a paperboy the next day. Snowden was arrested shortly afterward at Hannafin's cigar store in Boise, which is still open today. And you can go into the store and walk the same wooden floorboards that Idaho's Jack the Ripper walked.
Dang.
So he entered the store after disposing of the murder weapon in a gutter in front of the shop. And it's believed that he went into the store to use the restroom, perhaps to clean the blood off of his hands. So it was at that time that Snowden was arrested and taken to the state penitentiary, where he was sentenced to death for the murder of Cora Dean. He was then taken to the to death row to serve out his sentence before his death penalty would be carried out. In the prison, Snowden bragged of killing at least 2 other women, although he was never convicted of any other murders. On October 18th, 1957, Snowden's sentence was carried out, and his execution was the last to occur in the old Idaho Penitentiary. And how do you guys think that he was executed?
Electric chair.
Lethal injection.
So this is 1957.
Roundhouse kick to the back of the head.
By Chuck Norris.
Firing squad.
So this is why this penitentiary has kind of the haunting kind of feeling with it. So this particular penitentiary had a kind of modern style gallows where they would hang the
1959?
57.
57. Dang. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah. So it's basically just like it is very similar that you, like the gallows, you have the trap door that then someone would drop down, and the rope is supposed to snap your neck and you're supposed to die instantly, but that's not always the case of what happens. And so if it doesn't snap your neck, then you're just going to suffocate. And so on October 18th, 1957, Snowden's sentence was carried out, and his execution would be the last one in the old Idaho Penitentiary. His hanging took place in the newly constructed gallows room. However, it did not go according to plan.
Oh no.
The officers pulled the lever, and the trap doors underneath Snowden opened up. Snowden's neck didn't snap right away as it was supposed to. This means that Snowden ended up hanging for around 15 minutes, struggling to breathe.
Is that how long it takes?
You pass out after like probably 8 minutes.
Jeez, that would be an eternity.
But then it's like so as soon as you pass out, you can still come back after that. I don't know if you know crazy kids that choke each other out. But you can go without oxygen, pass out, and then there's that time period that while your brain is not getting oxygen, that essentially you're dying and killing off brain cells. So yeah, 15 minutes he's struggling to breathe, and during that whole time, the family of his victim was watching this take place, which I think is just sick. It is disgusting that they have to be exposed to that. 2, if they wanted to see that, that's disgusting. And anytime that I am watching any kind of documentaries on murderers or death sentences, and you see people outside of the prison cheering when someone dies, to me that is just disgusting. It is in my opinion, one of the lowest forms of humanity, to not have respect just for life itself, regardless if it was a bad person. And I get that there's arguments to say that some people maybe deserve to die, and that's fine. But I mean, have respect for life itself. And I don't know. I get really weird feelings, and I just feel really gross when I see people cheering on someone dying.
To play the other side of that, though, being part of the victim side might totally change your feeling toward that.
I know.
Like having a family member get killed or something, I can't imagine that pain, And that probably could totally change your feeling toward that one specific person enough to where that's a moment of joy for you. So.
And okay, and that's true. That's a very, very peculiar situation and predicament to be in. But I mean, so one that I'm thinking of is with what was the super famous murderer in Utah?
Ted Bundy.
So when Ted Bundy was sentenced to death, there's the street outline was with all kinds of different people with signs and balloons and cheering on, and
all the women wanted to marry him.
It's just such a creepy thing.
Yeah.
Anywho, so because of this situation of him struggling to breathe, and this just really dark situation happening of someone dying and everything that's going on with it, is kind of what brings that hauntedness to the penitentiary. And so the old Idaho Penitentiary has since been turned into a museum, which visitors are allowed to tour, and some visitors have reported stepping into the gallows room and hearing the sounds of Snowden struggling for his last breath.
Dang.
So, some of those things that people hear about when they go to the Idaho State Penitentiary.
What do you guys think about sounds, paranormal sound? Because that one's weird to me. Seeing something paranormal, or that's weird, but the sound to me is super weird. I've heard that sounds and smells and things like that can kind of imprint themselves on a location.
Place and time.
Yeah, the sound itself is super weird to me, that you can hear what has happened in the past.
I haven't heard anything that specific. Tell me more. This is interesting.
Oh, that's all I've heard, is that where bad things happen, a sound or a smell or something can that will be imprinted at that point, like, of this dimension. Like, it stays in that part of the dimension and won't leave. And so that's where you get reports of people that go somewhere and they hear screaming, or they hear, they smell they smell death or whatever. Like, just those reports is that event kind of imprinted on the fabric of space-time right there.
That's really interesting and really creepy at the same time.
Right.
So, some of the most common things that people say that they have experienced at the prison. Let's see. So, many have entered the area and have felt an immense feeling of sadness. These individuals have become quite anxious and have felt a strong sense of dread. Many visitors have been so sensitive to the paranormal activity in this area of the prison that they have been overwhelmed emotionally and cried, or they have become quite ill. Many who tour the facility have to end their tour at the execution chamber simply because they're so overwhelmed with emotions and feelings of physical malice.
Ooh.
It is weird. It is
Go ahead.
weird that a place or like a location can really change your state of being or your emotion like that.
Okay, so this is interesting because it kind of goes into what you're talking about, imprinting. Did you know that it is, maybe this is like state by state, but in some states it is the law that if a murder happened in a house, you have to report it when selling the house.
Yep. I think that's the law in Utah.
There's like a website that's like, did somebody die in my house.com or something like that.
Really?
Yeah. Let's see. It's diedinhouse.com. Has anyone ever died in your house?
I don't know if I want to see that because like I got good feelings, and so I would just rather keep it that way.
Well, like, is that strictly murder, or is it also like natural death?
Oh, let's see. Deaths that occurred at the address, whether by murder, suicide, accidental, or natural.
Because the lady died in my friend's basement before they moved in there, and his basement was kind of weird.
I think that's kind of dumb that you'd have to say that someone died in the house. I mean, like, there's a lot of old people that die in their house.
No, I think murder is the one you have to say.
Yeah. But you read, Jack, that it's any death?
Oh, just on this website. It says, in most states, a death in a home, no matter how it occurred, is not considered a material fact and is not required to be disclosed. A murder could have occurred days ago, and the seller does not have to let you know. But, I mean, I guess that's different in every state. But they say most states you don't have to.
Interesting.
And that's why this exists.
So the next common occurrences that people say that they feel or experience when they're at the prison are the noises that cannot be explained. And some of these noises include sounds of running, walking, sounds that often reflect people talking in a certain area and nothing being found to explain it. Some hear wails of grief, and it's believed that some of the guards are still walking among the cells of the prisoners. And that's one that I don't really understand. Like, if a place is haunted, is the guard like an angel of death or angel that is keeping the souls locked in prison forever and you can hear him walking around? Like, why would a guard be something that you hear?
Maybe that's just another thing imprinted on the fabric of space-time.
Okay, that's a good point. So, these events have been researched by ghost hunters from various places and have been found to be a direct result of the energy emitted in the areas while the facility was under operation. This means that the hauntings are residual, and they hold not intelligence, only manifest as recordings of the past. Like what you're saying, Austin.
Oh my word.
Boom. Illuminati confirmed.
Dude, we need to freaking go here, Jack.
No.
Let's do it. Where is it at again? Boise?
Boise.
That's too
Okay.
far.
That's like a 7-hour drive for me.
Oh my gosh, 7 hours?
I'm 3 hours from Logan, man.
That's a long ways.
Yep.
You have to pay me to be in a car for longer than an hour and a half.
But what if we make it a full road trip? We can go see the water babies, and then we can go on to the state pen.
Why would I want that?
We can go see the dwarves in the mountains if you want.
Jeez, you guys are full of great
Fun.
ideas.
We're fun. Plus, I think in Idaho they have Zions. Do it for the Zions, Jack.
Yeah, Amazon also has science.
Yeah, but it doesn't have fun and memories with your friends.
Come on, Jack. Join us, Jack.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Well, that was
Well,
fun.
that's all I got.
Anything else for Idaho?
Nah. Keep making them taters.
I just want to say thanks to all the potato farmers up there
Oh yeah.
for making life that much better.
God bless them.
Also, I just looked at our podcast statistics. Shout out to the 3% in the UK and the 2% in Canada that tune in.
Ooh.
And
Canada!
we also have 1% in, you ready to hear all these countries? There's a variety.
Oh my gosh. There's so many.
Germany, Ireland, Australia, Norway, Sweden, France, Mexico, the Philippines, Finland, Netherlands, Poland, Spain, New Zealand. That Spain one might have been me, actually. New Zealand, Singapore, Romania, Turkey, Denmark, Brazil, Slovakia, Austria, India, Puerto Rico, Somalia, Switzerland, Russia, Italy, Ghana, Hong Kong, Japan, Lithuania, South Africa, Indonesia, Egypt, China, Benin, and Ecuador.
Shout out to all you guys. Although, if I remember right, earlier you said that there was like 14 listeners. That's a lot more than...
Well, these are people that have listened to at least one episode.
One, yeah.
So,
And
okay.
that number, it's like it's estimating how many people are consistent listeners across every single one. It's an estimate. Who knows if it's low or high?
hey, we are bumped up to 34 though.
Nice.
We were at 7 when we kicked off a couple weeks ago. So,
Dude, I think weekly releases is definitely helping.
That's
Yeah.
the key.
yeah, we've got
And-
58 unique listeners in the last 7 days, and 34 audience. That may seem small to you who are listening. For us, it's a big deal.
The fact that anyone is willing to listen to me besides you guys is a treat for me.
Oh yeah.
Also, this is going to blow your mind. On April 24th of 2022, that will mark the 3-year anniversary since our first episode was released.
Really?
Yep.
Holy
That's
crap.
really cool and kind of sad that there hasn't been more episodes.
I know.
Dude, I remember recording that episode in my parents' basement.
Yep. We recorded 3 or 4 down there before you.
Oh,
moved.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
in
was
my
the-
parents' unfinished basement
the
while I was
original
still living
spot.
at home. Oh man, good times.
That was fun.
Well, I just emptied my monster, so that must be
Must be time to wrap her up.
time to go.
All right, thank you so much for listening, everybody. We love you very much. Share with your friends. Subscribe to our YouTube channel now.
Click the like button.
Smash that like button. Smash that subscribe button. Turn on the bell for notifications. Just trying to be like
All the stuff that I never do for anyone else.
Yeah, seriously. I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna do that, and then like just leave.
Also, I'm going to shout out. So my cousin has been listening. I'm going to shout out
What
a
up,
couple
cuz?
things. His name is Dallas, or Dez. He goes by Dez.
I like
He
that.
is the screamer in a metal band called Disengaged. They're all super talented. and they play around the Salt Lake City area. Go check him out on Spotify. And he also has 2 other podcasts that I've been listening to. One called Wrecked, which is where they have a few hosts and they kind of get a little tipsy, and it's like a comedy podcast. It's really funny. And then Assault City Circle Pit, which is where he interviews like local underground like metal artists and kind of puts their name out there. So if you're into that kind of stuff, go check him out. Again, Wrecked and Assault City Circle Pit. Just wanted to shout him out because he's been listening to all our stuff. So shout out to him.
Rock on, Dallas.
If you're a listener, email us. Tell us about your life. Tell us if you've got like
Dallas has got to have some stories
business or something.
We should get Dallas on the pod. Sorry, yeah, we should get Dallas on the podcast because he's a hilarious guy, and I bet he's got some funny stories.
Well, let's wrap it up before we go too long.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. And have yourself a wonderful
week,
night, week, all of them.
We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Do I just click stop recording now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.